All right, guys. So welcome back. So this is going to be the last part of that first class on extension. So we've gone over the idea of extension and pushing. And we've gone over the idea of elongation, lifting, and sinking, right? And now we're going to go over the concept of putting all that together to produce the idea of peng or pengjing, right? So today we're going to look at that. We're going to look at some breakdowns from that and how we lead that from the breath, because pengjing is really led a lot from that expansion and contraction of the breath, right? Eventually, after you have that, then you can do it without necessarily linking it to the breath. But in the beginning, it's really important to link that function or that technique to breathing, so you understand how it does act like a balloon, filling and contracting.
So this is that focus today of, like Mark was talking about before in the last lesson, of we're opening and then it expands out any which way you want. This is developing this aspect more today.
So we're going to go over that. So it's going to be a little longer than the other previously recorded classes, but I think you guys will find that this is functionally what you've been building towards, and it'll help you. We're going to talk today about pengjing from the point of view of Baguazhang, because that's our specialty. But I'm sure you'll find that this very much relates to Tai Chi, Xing Yin, other arts as well.
Yeah. And this is going to be, in some areas, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to see. So this is where we have our Q&A on Sunday nights. We can go over a lot of the fine points and sort of get you guys feeling your own bodies and getting it happening right, etc., etc., etc. But we'll do the best we can.
Yeah,
best we can today to explain it to you as clearly as possible.
Yeah. So let's get into
it.
All right, welcome to this part of the lesson today. We are going to go over the idea of expanding back and front together. Now, this is a little bit hard to teach, even in person, because it takes a lot of hands-on. And a lot of times, like we mentioned in class, it's also sort of a neuromuscular ability to put these things together to get them to move. But we're going to do our best here online. And through just repetition and time, I think you guys can get it. And with that, that's why we're so close to the camera, so you guys can see how our bodies move under our T-shirts. Look for the wrinkling of the T-shirts, because you'll see as our backs expand, our chest expands, our ribs expand at different times. You'll notice that the T-shirts will tend to draw, and you'll get these kind of like creases and whatnot. And they're showing you the way that our bodies are moving underneath. This is not an easy thing. Oftentimes, this is sort of one of those, what they say in Chinese, mimi, one of those secrets that aren't openly taught. Shu would only teach it after you were there for a while. He'd mimic a lot of the outside movement, but he wouldn't openly discuss it until you've been around for a little while. Pretty much anybody who'd been there before me who was a foreigner never really got the amount of it, because it's just obvious from all of their movements that they weren't understanding these things. He had explained some parts of it, but you had to really be there for a while to really go into depth. And a lot of times you would wear a T-shirt, so the T-shirt would cover up a lot if you didn't know what you were looking for. Or he'd put your hands on him to show you, which is really important to do so you can feel it. But a lot of the verbal explanation, because it's very technical, you need to have a fairly good level of Chinese to understand it. So it was kind of something that he wouldn't necessarily openly get in on it, particularly when I was living in China. It wasn't until I started going on days of the week where there weren't other students, or we started training this in the evening when all the other students had left. But this is an aspect that's actually in Sbf, is this pengjing, and so it starts with the breath.
Exactly, it starts with the breath.
So let's get started.
Let's get into it.
All right. So Simon's going to turn sideways so I can he can show you, because it's more effective if one of us points and the other one does this. So you want to look for is the creases that will begin to build in his shirt. He's going to inhale. His chest and his back are going to do this. Now, normally in class when we teach this, we have you put your hands on my back or Simon's back, and you can feel the expansion of the back as it expands and fans out from the center of the spine. So normally what will happen is, if you was just to expand the back, it'll look like this.
Like this. So from here.
So you can see as it starts to move, it's going in this way, right? So, and then as he relaxes, it comes back, right? And the more extreme he makes it, the more creases will form in the shirt in that direction. Right now the creases are down like this. They'll begin to flatten out as he starts to draw and open the back. And they start to come in this way. When you're doing a very extreme movement, you actually get creases that go horizontally on the shirt. It's a very subtle thing. but it's actually very only subtle from the outsider looking in. It's actually very extreme, or very intense, I should say, for the person who's doing it. It's very, very, very physical.
Like Mark can explain what he feels with his hands on the back.
So if I put my hands here, what you're going to feel from the spine outwards, you can go right up against the spine. You should feel the movement and the opening of muscles going out this way, right? So you should feel these muscles that pull out this way and round the back. And this is something I can't grab. I can't grab his muscles on his back.
Yeah, that's a good thing. You can grab the skin.
Important. So if I start by grabbing the skin first, here I've got his skin, pinched it, right? And when he expands his back, it pops out from my fingers. I can't grab that skin anymore. It's pulled tight, right? It's because internally he's stretching, right? It doesn't come from trying to push the skin out. It comes from pushing from the inside of the back outwards, from the center of the spine outwards.
Grab it as tight as you want.
So no matter how tight I grab it, he goes. And there he goes, pops out. And that's the goal. So you want that. So if you have somebody else who can practice that with you, they can pinch the skin.
Yeah.
And then basically, as you expand the back outwards, the better you get, it will slide out. And this goes all the way down the back, right?
If you do have someone you
back.
practice with as well, it's like yourself, Mark's doing it. If I'm trying to help someone, I don't need to help Mark because he can do it fine. But if I am trying to help someone, what you can do is when he starts breathing, you can do the skin thing, but also you can help do this. See, I'm moving my hands across and just helping to push it out like that, and then he can come back in. And you can do this a lot. It just helps people to get the idea, to develop the concept of like where you're trying to go with this. And that relates back to what we were doing in the first lesson of this course.
Trying to get this expansion outwards, right? This is really important. So now when you have that back idea of expanding outwards, and in the beginning you might use your breath. You don't have to have your breath to make the back expand. It's technically not coming from the breath, it's coming from the physical expansion of the back. But when you join the two, you'll get a greater expansion, right? So now what we do is we look to breathe into our chest. So the chest, even though it's hollowed, will still expand a bit forwards, but the back will expand backwards, so you have a ball in the middle. So it looks like this. So Simon's going to demonstrate this here. So this is going to expand both ways if you watch my fingers on each side. So it's expanding out this way and expanding forwards this way. And then he comes back. And again, he does it again. Feel the expansion this way and the expansion this way. So you're getting this expansion not just this way, but also outwards from the center of both the chest and the back. The chest, you don't have to worry about expanding so much.
No.
We naturally do it.
Naturally.
It's really easy for people to do it because it's how we breathe as humans.
Yeah.
It's the back that's more difficult to breathe from.
Yeah.
So that's why, or to expand from. So that's why we practice both. And this concept will start to create this pung energy, expansion energy in the chest, going back, forth, and you'll start to feel it go up and down too, right?
Yeah.
Why? Because you're breathing into the chest, and as it fills and goes up and down, you're going to feel it do this. So you're creating this ball going up and down and back, forth. That's the first step.
Once you get good at it, it actually feels really good.
Feels really, really good. So give that a shot. Do about 10 or 15 of those, and then get into a point of doing reps. Maybe you do 10 of those, 9 or 10 of those in a rep. Maybe you do 6 reps, or I'm sorry, 10 reps, 6 sets. That's how it is. 9 reps, 6 sets. So you do something like
At one point, the exercise that Mark was doing with us before is now if he grabs the skin on the back and he grabs the skin on the front, you can grab the skin on the front as well. Because once we go here,
it'll pop out mostly on both sides.
mostly on both sides.
Sometimes
more on the back.
Yeah, more on the back because you have more flesh on the front, right? So, but you will still feel that expansion on the front. And so as you do that, that's that fascial expansion. That's a really important thing. That was super important. Even though you see it in other people, she was the only teacher I've ever had who ever really went over it in depth and had that kind of testing thing that I ever experienced personally with it. So I would suggest you guys give it a shot. Sometimes you'll find that after you go down the back, areas tend to have more fat, like the low back. You might get it to expand, but it doesn't pop out of somebody's hand. It's probably just because of the fat content, right? Like she would say to me sometimes, depending on, what time of year it was, and if I was eating more or not, he'd be like, oh, you have a fat back. That's why it doesn't pop out so much. And also, it was also the fact that I needed to get the kind of that muscle memory of being able to expand the low back. That's very difficult, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that is it, because you want everything to drop down and expand up at the same time and out to stretch. So that's the concept. So work with that, and now we're going to go into the next part, which is expansion of the ribs.
Ribs.
All right.
So now we're going to start with the expansion of the ribs. Okay, so instead of focusing on this so much, or more in the back or more in the front, or both of them together, we're going to start going out to the sides. Okay, so we've kind of been over this a little bit in Sbf class, but today we're going to break it down and go for more in depth.
The ribs are funny because you're not going to see it physically as much as you're going to feel it.
Yeah.
So we're going to try to demonstrate it to you, but it's something that you feel when you put your hands on somebody. You'll feel it expand out this way, and you feel the ribs open. Now, some systems and some people will tell you it'll take you months to open the ribs, and it's this really high-level technique. It's not.
It's not.
It's something that's really easy, at least the way we learned it. It's not hard to do. But it does generate space, and therefore it allows you to generate power.
Yeah.
Because you can breathe into that space, you can expand that space, and contract it. So from the point of view of martial arts, when I was in the States during COVID, I was grappling a lot with wrestlers and jiu-jitsu players. This was one of the ways that I would resist the triangle. Breathing into the chest when they try to body triangle. And then as this expands, because I was expanding in all directions, but particularly the ribs, not just front and back, they were trying to wrap themselves around a balloon they couldn't crush.
Yeah.
And then when they were at full grip and they would pause, I would fully exhale quickly and push
slip
through.
out. Yeah.
And it would come right through, and they would sit there and just not be able to figure out how I was doing it. And eventually I taught them how I was doing it, but they still realized that they couldn't overcome it because the timing that I used with it. But they started using it because it's very effective. But as martial league goes, when you start to get to be able to use the ribs, you get a lot more power in your push, in your strike, in all of these rotations of the arms. So this is the reason why we teach this, because it's an aspect of Pung that goes into extension.
And this aspect as well with this here is particularly good striking, like for what we call your corner hands. So the hands that are, so you've got your 12 to 6 and your 9 to 3. But when you're dealing with strikes where you're breaking something, coming up like this way, this particular breathing mechanism, expand and contract, is very, very good for anything on peculiar angles.
Yes.
As far as striking goes.
So it's really important. We see this a lot. A lot of the Ding Shi you'll see in Bagua that are up and expand with the elbows slightly outwards. Here, 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 or ones where you're here and you're turned forwards and you're expanding the rib forward. Sometimes in Yin style, you'll see some people like this. We go like this. This expansion of the ribs is really important, because a lot of times when you clear too, you exhale and then the strike, or you come over the top, open, 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 exhale, strike. So all of these things have an application in martial combat. And so today we're gonna, as we said, we're gonna go over this rib breathing. Now, take your time. You guys will all get it. This is not really hard. It's just hard to see on camera.
Yeah.
So Simon's going to demonstrate it. We're going to use one movement of Sbf, a partial movement, to show you this.
And this is so good to use this partial movement, just because the hands really guide it and make it happen. Okay. So, but we're not going to go straight back like we do in Sbf. We're going to let the elbows relax a little bit, and we're just going to come up this way. So we'll start, Mark can explain. So in.
So as his arms pull up, this acts to open the ribs on the side, and he breathes, filling this in the direction the elbows are going. And then as he basically breathes out, elbows come down. So he exhales, elbows come down. And as his elbows and arms contract, you can feel the ribs contract. And as he inhales, the elbows lift outwards. You can feel the space under the armpit and the ribs start to stretch. You breathe into that space, and then you exhale.
And they might be able to see it if Mark completely squeezes, if he pushes his hands in, you can see from here.
You can see that his chest slightly lifts in the process and pushes down, but it's the lower ribs that push down while the chest lifts. You're pushing and pushing in, and he's expanding. He has this expansion that comes up. You can see it in my hands moving slightly.
So yeah, it's difficult to see.
It is
But you
definitely
can feel it.
But you can definitely feel it. So as you do this, what you want to definitely make sure you're focusing on is that the expansion of the ribs comes with the elbows coming out. Because it'll open up the armpits. It'll open up that area. So you use that to allow yourself to expand
Notice
out.
my shoulders don't, or Mark's shoulders don't come up.
They don't come up.
But they're
You're
going
not doing
down.
this.
They're going down.
Yeah. Just make it nice and easy, you're breathing. Make sure that as you go through this, you're not straining your ribs. You're not straining your shoulders to try to keep them down.
No.
And you're not pulling it up because you're not getting your arms out. Just nice and relaxed. Elbows come out. They don't have to be forward. Just be nice and relaxed. Over time, the spacing between the ribs will learn to expand more, right? And that's what's really important because there's a lot of cartilaginous regions, a lot of fibrous tissue. So it takes time for this to open and close. This is really, really, really good for people who have asthma, congestion of the chest. This is going to be very, very good for people also who have had old injuries to the chest, and it's tough to open the chest and breathe, right? A lot of times you'll find that people who have had bruised ribs, car accidents, broken ribs.
Broken ribs, definitely.
Strains to the ribs due to different things. I can tell you how many people I've seen from wrestling and grappling. Ironically, you think it's like boxing, but actually a lot of grapplers, because they get in these positions and they're straining to get out and they pull something, right? So they get this strain not from a crush, but from overstraining themselves. And these are really difficult areas because there's not a lot of blood, like a superfluous supply of blood that moves through there to give, especially in the cartilaginous areas. So if you tear something, even if it's small, and you get a bruised rib, it can hurt to breathe, hurt to cough.
A lot of people in job fields like furniture removals, those types of things, lifting heavy things, weird angles out
windows.
Weird
angles out windows, absolutely. Yeah. Those type of things can definitely injure this area. I can tell you from an acupuncture point of view, we can heal it pretty fast, but it can still take some time. However, when I say heal pretty fast, I mean it'll take 6 to 12 weeks for a cracked rib to heal. Generally, from Western medicine, we can do it in about 2 to 3, where they're feeling considerably better. But they still need some things that take them out to about the 4 or 5 week process before you can completely outpatient them. But with doing something like this in high reps a day, you're going to increase the area and then contract. It's going to push blood through the area, push oxygen into the bloodstream in the area, and it's going to help to open and close it, so you're going to heal a lot faster. It's going to strengthen the ribs. So this is really important because first we worked on back to front, now we've worked on side to side. So in the next segment here, we're going to look at putting them together. So now we're going to take one of the exercises you guys know from Sbf, these shoulder rotations. We're going to modify them a little bit to allow you to focus on combining forwards and backwards expansion with the rib expansion side to side. And this is going to help with this idea of pung, because now you're going to have pressure in all directions. But you're also going to have pressure pushing in as well as pushing out.
Yeah.
Right? Like a balloon, right? You have to have an equal pressure pushing out and in to keep those balloons expanded, right? Yeah. So this is what's going to happen, right? Because the lungs are like a negative pressure system, right? You're pulling the diaphragm down to create this pulling in of oxygen, and as it's pulling in and it's pushing itself out, you're also having this pushing in quality. But this is what allows you to expand.
Yeah.
And so with this, we're going to modify shoulder rotations so that you can focus on the concept of pung, because normally we push down, and we are still pushing down, but you also want the quality of expanding upwards and outwards as you're pushing down.
Yeah, so if someone does push on you, if somebody is pushing on your hands when I'm coming down, It's not this pushing up like this. It's just what happens is I'm open and he's pushing down on me and my back is open as I come down and as I come down. But if he keeps pushing at any stage, I can resist it, okay? Or I could go back up if I want to, but I'm not using physical force.
Not using a bunch of physical force to resist, right? He's not using this heavy resistance.
And a couple of points with this exercise before we start is we're not going as sharp as we do in Sbf, like how we go sharp, like straight back. We're not doing that because Sbf is more like 1, 2, 3, if you know what I mean.
We're trying to
string
open these joints. We're trying to string this together. Yeah.
And we're not doing looking left or we're not doing looking right because that creates like, when you're looking left and right, it creates
a stronger rotation, overturn.
Yeah.
And it takes the focus off of what we're trying to get at, which is this peng jing or this expanding energy.
So we're going to keep it straight. Okay. So if you got your spine coming down this way, it's going to be evenly distributed on each side.
Because like a balloon, you have to have that even distribution. With peng jing, we want it evenly distributed over the area of contact or over the area we want to issue that force in. We don't want it unevenly distributed. Otherwise, you have deficiencies in the movement.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's get it done.
Okay. So, start from here. Let Mark guide you through it.
So you're going to watch him. He doesn't pull back too hard, but he's breathing forwards and backwards and into the sides. His arms come around, but notice it's not too hard. He's keeping this round shape here, forwards and backwards. And as he comes down, if I were to apply pressure, I get a resistance. Not something crazy, not a very, very, very resistant pushing pressure, but something that feels like an expansion against my hand, right? Even though he's moving down, he still has an upward movement or an upward pressure in his hand that isn't a tense resistance, but a kind of open, relaxed resistance. If I push this way, I get a resistance. If I push this way, I get a resistance. But it's not something he has to focus to press against, right? It's just an expansion.
And there's no 1, 2, 3, 4.
This is all
stringing it all together.
Open movement, open breath, and then exhalation back to the center. Because remember, peng moves outwards, but then everything resets back inwards again. So if we look at the back again, the same idea. So the back expands. As he's rotating, it expands even more. This is all expanded, and then he exhales. So at first, you don't seem like the back expands because he's lifting his arms, but it actually is. You can feel it. You can actually feel it expand. You really start to see it when, because he's not pulling his arms really that far back, when his arms go out, now the back really expands more. Forwards and backwards, you get the chest expansion. And you always have the sides expansion. That happens at the same time. But you're not looking left, you're not looking right, and you're not coming way back. Notice I'm way back, he's not, right? Because he's trying to work on this peng expansive energy in the breath.
So I'm not really even concerned with the arms. Well, I are as far as how they're guiding me, but it's all about here that I'm concerned about. Yeah.
This is the center concentration. Peng comes from the breath initially. It has to come from the breath first before you can disconnect it from the breath. A lot of techniques are like that. She used to always teach them as like a lot of the Dantian techniques. They start off being rooted in the breath, and then eventually you can decouple the breath from them and you can do them independently of the breath, but they have to be led by the breath first because it gives you a ladder to follow, basically, a structure to follow.
You can also practice sucking through your feet.
So the same idea, he pulls in through the feet as he inhales and he expands upwards and downwards while he's also pulling inwards, right? So that's the idea of peng. It's going outwards, but he's also inhaling as this energy is going out, right? And he's envisioning this coming up through the feet. So watching the back again. It's not totally flat. Now my hands are here, now watch. See they start to spread? Because the back is expanding. That's not my fingers moving, they're just pushing. I'm not actively moving, my fingers are passively moving because they're pressing his back as he's expanding. that's the next thing to that. Now we're going to go over another exercise that also gives you this context from Sbf. You'll have a few of these to practice this with, and so you'll be able to get more and more of this concept. So this next exercise is interesting because as we talked about using the breath as the structure, we're actually going to start to hint at the idea of decoupling the inhalation with Pung from the holding of Pung. And this is a really cool thing that you can do in Sbf because there's going to be, in this particular exercise, you have to maintain Pung even though you're exhaling.
Yeah.
And you have to maintain that idea of all outwardness. And you guys already know this exercise, right? This one. It comes up and then goes out, right?
Your hand, my hand's going to be out of the shot, but you just keep your hands crossed.
Keep your hands crossed, right?
Fingers together and thumbs and like
we want
you know the position.
Yeah, we want you to focus on his torso and his arms more than the end of his fingers. You guys already know the end of that. But the interesting thing about this is that you're not looking left or right, right? Your arms are going to come down about even with your shoulders,
not
behind you.
Yeah.
We're not looking to stretch the joints at this point. We're looking to create this extending Pung energy, right? This expansion, extension. But when Simon gets over his head, he's going to hold his hands in full extension.
Full extension.
Now, it's not just full extension upwards. He's also feeling like this is extending forwards and backwards and to the sides, right? And he's going to hold that while he exhales and inhales twice.
And when I'm breathing in and I'm extending, I've got this extension, but there's also this opening all the way around like a tube. You know, like
stretching this in the process of holding this. This is actually
that's why we're not putting left or right in it, because that not isolates, but that starts getting like this stuff going on.
Creates a rolling
which is not what we
don't want you to focus on right now.
Yeah.
So let's let him do it.
Trust me, they'll be a lot stronger later on once you get
this is going to be a lot stronger. So he's going to start the exercise you already know. Just kind of slim down a little bit.
And remember, our 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 is kind of out the window. We're just trying to do it at a smooth breath and like develop that quality of movement as much as possible. So don't worry about the 1, 2, 3, 4 with this. All right. So here we go. So
here we go with the expansion. So this is still expanding. This is still expanding all in this direction, right? Up, down, left, right, forward, backward. He's going to hold it here. As he holds it here, he's going to exhale, but he's still holding this expansion upwards, outwards, downwards through his feet, backwards and forwards, side to side. Now he's going to inhale again. Still holding it. Exhaling. So you're still holding that Pung Jing, but you're exhaling and inhaling. You're not just doing it on one inhale or exhale. And now here on the third breath, he's going to release it. So still holding Pung, still holding that expansion outwards, but now he's coming down on the exhale.
Now guys, one thing that I want you to do, and try this because this is really interesting, is you've got the physical movement that's helping you on the way up, and it's opening the back, and it's opening the chest, and it's opening the side of the ribs. You've got this physical movement to guide it. Once you get up here and you're extended and you're breathing again, mentally do that move again through the feet.
Yes.
Up, open, expand, out, contract, come back. Like mentally do it, and you'll really notice that you'll start to feel this, like you're stationary, but you'll start to feel this.
You start to feel this movement internally.
And rolling,
So ultimately, that's where all these moves start from.
Yeah.
We teach you from external to internal, and then we take the internal aspect and we apply it again to the external.
So I'll do it one more time. Yes, start from here. In.
Now, after he gets up here, he pauses, he's a full exhale. Then he's going to have 2 respirations. Inhale, exhale, and then he's going to inhale again, and then exhale and come down. He's still expanding from the ribs and the chest in all directions. He's also feeling that this expansion moves into his arms in all directions as a cylinder.
And it won't be as strong, but if Mark has his hands on me, he'll feel, even though I'm extended here, he'll still feel the rolling of that movement.
You should feel the expansion here of his torso. I can feel that his lower ribs slightly move down, his upper ribs move up. His torso opens, his upper torso opens, it expands. I can feel how it's coming up higher and higher into his chest as he inhales. Then he exhales, and he's keeping, through the stretching, a slight expansion of everything, but the exhalation allows for a contraction. Now he's inhaling again. So he gets kind of a stretched opening when he's here. And then as he exhales, he comes down. And I can feel that this contracts and this is contracted.
So you can feel, although it's not as predominant when you're doing it this way, you can still feel that you're actually still doing the same.
Yes,
Yeah,
you still have the same quality, but it's starting on the inside. And that's the difference, is that they say, why die ne, ho ne die why, which means like the outside leads the inside, and then the inside leads the outside. And that's the idea, ultimately, of why a lot of these movements become small frame. Even though you still might be doing them appearingly large on the outside, you might not actually be as large as you think until you start to get the inside to move with it. So that's that.
And you'll feel, if you're doing it right, you'll feel warm and kind of fluffy on the inside, but you will feel tired, like that. Sorry, you will feel tired if you're doing sets of it. It's definitely
it's one of those things that kind of leaves you comfortable, but like you need to rest. So give that a shot. Do that in set. You can do that again in sets of 9 or 10. You know, that's going to be a lot.
Also another thing. Sorry, Mike. Another thing as well is don't do this on a full stomach.
Yeah, no.
Don't do any of this on a full stomach.
It's better to do this on an empty stomach.
Empty stomach, and then eat after.
Yeah, eat after, or do it maybe 2 or 3 hours after you've eaten, because that digestion here in the stomach is going to press against everything, and you're going to be squeezing everything small. It's going to make for difficult digestion, so avoid that. We have a set for you. We want you to practice these exercises to produce the concept of breathing into the chest. We think that most of you guys have the back to forward, although the stretching is important, but we've gone over that before. So we have 3 other exercises that will work on opening the ribs and then combining that with the chest backwards to forwards, so it's expanding in all directions. And then the most recent exercise we just
we'll do it in, like we do it like for example, last lesson we do it in 2s. We'll do it in 2s, but we'll do 4. So we'll do like 2 sets of 2, 2 sets of 2, 2 sets of 2. All right. Or 1 set of 4.
Yeah.
But usually we're going to keep a thing of like 2 going through it. So, all right. So we start like this.
So the same idea that the ribs are expanding outwards. Now the chest and the back will still expand a little bit as you do this, but the focus is that the ribs open and then close. Inhaling in his nose and then exhaling out his mouth. As you practice this, make sure you don't strain as you do this. You want to make it even. Remember, 70-30 rule. You don't want to do it to the point where you're straining, because your ribs internally can get really sore. So you don't want to strain this. And here, with the shoulder rotations, notice he doesn't come all the way back, right? But he's breathing in all directions and then down. Remember, as he goes down, he still has that idea of his hands expanding upwards and outwards. So if I were to push down, he has some resistance, but not a strained resistance. Notice the elbows stay more wide, right? It allows to feel that kind of connection of roll back and front and sides together. But you're still breathing into all of them at the same time with this exercise. Now the next one, again, the concept of inhaling in all directions, and that pung as he comes up. If I press up, I have a resistance. If I press down, I have a resistance, but it's not a strained resistance. It's moving. If I press this way, I also have one as well. That comes from his feet, right? Now he's going to inhale and exhale twice at the top, holding that expanding balloon quality in all directions. So for 2 breaths, you hold it at the top, and then you exhale, and it comes down. Arms don't come wide. They come even with the shoulders or maybe slightly in front, because you want to make sure that you're keeping this focus on the chest. This could be very tiring on the arms in the beginning, but it should build the power of expansion. Again, the expansion also happens in the joints, right? Pung is also happening here in the joints. It's happening up and outwards. So he's getting these motions, or this motion, this kind of potential energy, so to speak, happening. Because he's not fully pung, but he's moving in both directions. He's still pressing upwards and maintaining this while he's pressing outwards, right? So it's keeping him in that position of expansion in all directions.
Like that. And you guys will feel that is a workout.
Yeah, especially that last one. That last one is quite something on your shoulders and arms, but that's great. So, all right.
All right, guys.
Now, for the little martial kind of idea of this, we're going to talk about this, like I said, from the point of view of Bagwajan, because that's our specialty, right? Although this does carry over into other things. But as you saw in the first lesson, when we were demonstrating the idea of Tui, right? When you're doing that, when you have the idea of Tui, it's not this, it's this. If you notice my body, I'm expanding in all directions. I'm actually, even though this energy is going forward, it's like a ball, it's expanding outwards, it's expanding to the sides, it's expanding back, even though I propel forwards, but look, my leg is actually propelling me forward by pushing back. So you get this expansion, this pung energy in Tui, right? It's very common in Bagwa. The unique part of Bagwa is that it really emphasizes the rotation, right? So as something rotates, it pulls it into itself and then expands outwards. So it doesn't have to just go out. It can do this. Yeah, it doesn't have to go exactly. It doesn't have to go out to go out. It can expand into itself, but in the process, it creates this motion that expands outwards at the same time.
So, for example, if you're doing something like yan, you know, although this might be drawing something in, you'll notice that, boom, you bounce the person straight out, you know, by using it if you want to.
If you want to.
Yeah.
The other movement that's very similar to this is shao.
Shao.
This peeling or cutting. A lot of times you'll find that when somebody strikes and you catch them this way, almost like yan, but the difference is you're catching them off the hand and slicing. Their arm bounces off of you and they get a zinging sensation. Or along the leg, along the arm this way, or even this way. This way is very common, like we see in our 6 palm this way. Just pop somebody up.
If you don't get that quality of rotation, when you hit someone with it like that, all they feel is just a donk on the arm, and it doesn't drain their energy. But as soon as you get the angle right, and you get that spiraling and that twisting, that turning, and the pung coming off of it, it starts to suck the energy out of their body, and that's where it really hurts. And anybody who's been hit with it understands, like, it drains you of your spirit to fight. You don't want
With
to
about
fight
2
no
or
more.
3 strikes of that, like, you don't want to use that arm anymore. No matter how much conditioning you have, it gnaws at you very deeply.
And you can try it, you can try if you've got a partner to try, and you can try it. I do it with my students a lot. You get them just to chop down, like it hurts a bit or whatever, and then you get them to rotate, and that's what you see their eyes pop out because they're like, whoa.
Arm bounces away and they feel like a real nervy sensation go down their arm or outwards. And so this is the same when somebody pops a jab and you come underneath and you pop. It's not this, it's expanding outwards as I'm doing this. But this rotation stays tight, but the intention of it is I'm pushing outwards in all directions. And what ends up happening is when that jab hits, it pops away.
Yeah.
So these are contexts that we want you to start to do.
And you can see the if he's got a arm here, and if I just come straight down and hit the arm, you can see how much it doesn't move. Yeah. But if I use the same amount of power,
See, pops it.
right away.
And that's sha peng.
Yeah,
Shang peng would be the opposite. So if he comes in this way,
yeah. Boom.
say, but if I just come up,
Boom.
doesn't come much. But if I turn,
Boom.
say,
Pops
it
it
goes
out the way.
away. So because it moves in,
boom,
boom,
pops it
right?
out.
So that's the idea. It's called shang peng, sha peng. And those are major aspects. And you also have zuo you peng,
Yeah.
right? And that's actually, zuo you peng is actually yin jiang.
Zoyo is like
Right?
left and right.
Left and right. So left and right peng is just yin, right? Same idea. You can get the same interaction off of that. So train your next week with these exercises and then try to take that peng concept and apply it to, if you guys train Bagua, those movements in Bagua that are rotational, but keep that peng energy, and you guys should notice a
A
difference.
common thing you'll see when you look at YouTube videos of Bagua, especially when it comes to Chinna and stuff like that, so a lot of the common thing you'll see is you'll see people trying to do like joint locks, yeah, and you'll see them, they're trying to force the joint lock on, or they're trying to force the arm down. And the reason why they're not getting a joint lock is because they don't have that. They don't have the,
that peng rotation is really, really, really important. Even at slow speeds. So if Simon does it again to me slow, he can still get it because he draws this
in.
in. And sure, I walk with it because it's slower, but it's still that action of moving through that. If he doesn't do that and he does it slow, well, then now we're in.
He ain't going nowhere.
Thing, and I can pull back. So that's the concept of that. Peng will actually allow you to break through somebody's defenses if done correctly, because you have this expandingness, but you also have this contraction at the same time. And so then when you add other qualities like rotation, drawing, and these other things, it starts to get very, very confusing from the outside to look at, but that's why we're breaking it down individually so you guys can understand these energies.
Absolutely.
All right?
All right,
we will
guys.
see you next week.
See you next week.